Hello. Thank you for listening. This is the near-death experience of Juan, and this experience occurred on February 24th of 2004 and was documented on September 22nd of 2017. Open quote. On February 24th, 2004, I was asked by a friend to drive her to search for an apartment for her and her children. I was having some cold symptoms like fever, cold sweats, blurred vision, and so on. As I drove, I remember having problems focusing my eyes. My vision was getting double and blurred. My wife knew about my condition for days, wanted me to go see a doctor, but I refused. Without my knowing about it, she contacted the doctor's office and made me an appointment for 2 p.m. that same day. I agreed to go to the doctor so my wife would quit nagging me to go. I took my friend to the doctor's office with me and agreed to continue the apartment search after my doctor's appointment. We arrived at the doctor's office about 1:40 p.m. I was having vision problems and just needed to make it a few miles. Upon arrival to the office, I requested a glass of water. The receptionist brought me a 2 or 3 ounce plastic cup of water, but it wasn't enough, so I asked for more. I told her I needed much more. She came back after a few minutes with more water and the doctor. I recall the doctor saying, "Get him inside now." Immediately, I was brought inside and escorted to an examination room. I remember talking to the assistant with our usual conversation. She was asking how was the family and the usual short conversation. I sat on the examination table. The nurse strapped the blood pressure monitor on my left arm. As the nurse pumped the monitor, I started to feel like I was drifting away and in the process of losing consciousness. I felt my body falling sideways while barely conscious. I couldn't control my body. I couldn't see, but I could hear everything going on around me. The nurse was yelling very loudly, "Hurry! Get a doctor here! Hurry! He's dead!" I heard the room being filled with people and everyone talking at the same time. My wife, who happened to come in at that time, was in the room also. I remember my doctor requesting an ambulance while another doctor was pressing on my chest. I didn't feel a thing, but my hearing was perfect, and there was craziness going on around me. I began to regain consciousness again. The doctor held my hand and told me what had just taken place and told me that an ambulance was on its way. I remember seeing all the doctors in that office being in the room with me. My wife was also there. The ambulance took very little time to get there since the hospital was only 3 miles away. When the ambulance arrived, I was prepared and transferred. My wife went to take our friend home and met later at the hospital. When we arrived to the hospital, there were lots of people waiting for me. I wanted to get up and go to the bathroom, but they wouldn't let me. The medical director of the emergency room was there. He held my hand and said, "You have no idea how sick you are, my friend." I never got up again. The medical doctor told me that I was very, very sick, and I was going to be put in what they call an induced coma. My wife gave the okay. The following is the journey to the other side. As I was on the emergency room, talking to my wife and the doctor, I remember everything turning dark. Suddenly, there was a hallway with big double French doors at the end of the hallway. I was walking towards the open doors. I couldn't see my body at all, but I could see how beautiful, all caps, white, bright light all over me. As I approached the doors, I was held back by a force. It was not a hand or anything physical, but it was a force. Immediately, I heard a voice that told me, "You cannot enter that room, my son." This communication was like telepathy, not a physical voice. I understood I was in a different place and that I was dead. I felt very relaxed, with a great feeling of being calm, no pain, and no worries. I had a sense of happiness, capital H, and love surrounded me. As I stood on the threshold of that beautiful door, I looked inside, and I saw a big theater-like room filled with red chairs. On one side of the room, I saw the entrance to a cave with an American Indian sitting in front of the cave. He was facing a campfire, and on the other side of the fire was a tiger sitting with his front paws crossed. There wasn't any walls but infinity. The Indian and the tiger didn't even know I was there. That place was so beautiful, with color I have never seen in my life before or after. When I was done looking inside the room, I tried to enter it again. Again, this voice said, "I just told you, my son, you cannot enter that room." I asked, "Why can't I go inside?" The voice said, "You must go back. You must finish one more thing." I asked, "What is that?" Then the voice said, "You have to do one more thing in your life. You will know when the time comes, but you must go back and do that one more thing." Suddenly, I felt a great deal of pain in my entire body. I was in a bed and in a hospital room. My wife was sitting next to the bed, sleeping. As I moved, my wife woke up. I looked at her and said, "They told me to come back to do one more thing." According to my wife, I closed my eyes again and fell asleep. The next day, I woke up in pain and discomfort, but I was able to tell my wife everything that happened to me. Immediately, I began to see angels in my room coming in and out. I very clearly saw the cave with the Indian, the fire, and the tiger. I was in between dimensions, seeing both places at the same time. I could not move my legs or arms. My body was paralyzed. As the days went by, the angels kept visiting me every day. Finally, my first meal came. It was beef soup and vegetables. They put the food on a tray cart in front of me, but I couldn't move my arms to eat the food. Then this old lady came in my room and was cleaning the floor with a mop. I told the lady that I was hungry and could not move my arms. I asked if she was kind enough to help me with the food because I was very hungry. She said, "Let me wash my hands, and I will help you." She came back, sat on the bed, fed me until the bowl was empty, and then she left the room. About 15 minutes later, a nurse came to the room to help me with the food. She looked at the bowl and said, "Oh, Mr. R., you can move your arms. You ate everything." I said, "The old lady that cleans the floors helped me with the food." The nurse looked at me like if I came from another planet and said, "There is no old lady that cleans the floors here. No one cleans the floors here unless they're allowed to come in here." I knew then I was visited by an angel again. As time went by, I was moved to different sections of the hospital until I was released to go home. I kept being visited by angels even at home. When I was home, the angels wanted to play all the time. They play and fly all over the little kids. I was able to see a few minutes into the future, but that started to fade away with the angels. After a while, I couldn't see the angels anymore. They were there. I just could not see them. This is how we are born. We see the angels, then the angels are gone. The angels are all over around us. We just don't see them. As time went by, I started to learn how to walk again, learn how to drive, go to the bathroom, etc. Then, when I was strong enough, I have this strong desire to work with wood. I bought tools and created some beautiful pieces of furniture. I felt different, like I was another person. I wasn't the same anymore. I lived the next years working around the house with wood, feeling different, not feeling the same person anymore. I was thinking always about that one more thing I am supposed to do. But I cannot think of anything that I must do. So I forced myself to not think about it anymore. I began to forget about it slowly. Eventually I retired and moved to another state. I continued to work around the house with wood, just doing what I can. One day, my 28-year-old daughter called me to let me know she was pregnant. Everyone was very happy about it because it was our first grandson. Time went by. My daughter got married to the child's father, a no-good drug user. Slowly, after my grandson was born, my daughter began to show signs of drug use. My grandson was 2 years at the time. My daughter, she left my grandson anywhere and everywhere. Her mother, my ex-wife, was making people's lives difficult because she was demanding money to take care of my grandson. My grandson would spend weeks with me, then weeks with my ex-wife, then weeks with my daughter, and it was a big mess. I got a lawyer and tried to take my grandson away from my daughter, but didn't work. Soon after, my ex-wife called Child Protective Services so many times that the state took the child away and put him in a foster home. I tried to get him out, but the state wouldn't allow me to have him because I had lung cancer at the time. I underwent surgery and got better. Then they gave me custody of my grandson. I battled my evil ex-wife as hard as I could in courts every other month for 3 years. In the meantime, while the child was with me, I took very good care of him all that time. The court battles became to an end in July 27, 2017, when my wife and I became the proud parents of my grandson, now 9 years old. When my wife and I became the proud parents of my grandson, now 9 years old. It took me 7 years of intense battle in court against my daughter and her mother, but the court saw the evil in them directed against me and my grandson. Now my grandson, my wife, and myself live very happily. Today, I wonder if my one thing has been fulfilled or I have more to go. Only time will tell. End quote. Wow, Juan, that was a really great story. The angels in your room as coming in and out and dancing all around, it must have been pretty wonderful. There are some questions. Question: at the time of your experience, was there an associated life-threatening event? Answer: yes. Heart attack. CPR given. Induced coma. Clinical death. Heart stopped twice in 30 minutes. Question: how do you consider the content of your experience? Answer: entirely pleasant. Question: rating your highest level of consciousness, or rating your consciousness and alertness. Answer: I knew everything that was going on around me all the time, but I chose to hold back. Question: did time seem to speed up or slow down? Answer: everything seemed to be happening at once. No knowledge of time at all. Question: were your senses more vivid than usual? Answer: incredibly more vivid. Question: did you become aware of things going on elsewhere as if by ESP? Answer: yes, but the facts have not been checked out. Question: did you seem to enter some other unearthly world? Answer: I wasn't allowed to enter because it wasn't my time yet. Question: did you suddenly seem to understand everything? Answer: when I was away, I understood that souls are recyclable. I got someone else's soul. It happens to everyone who dies and comes back. At the moment of death, your soul transferred dimensions. Do you think that he means that working with the wood and that he picked up somebody else's soul, and so there are more than one soul with him? Because he's got to be at least partially the same person. When he comes back, his wife remembers him. Very interesting. Question: what importance did you place on religious/spiritual life prior to your experience? Answer: moderately important. Was your religion Christian, Catholic, non-church attending Catholic? Question: have your religious practices changed since your experience? Yes. Answer: yes. I pray to a supreme being, a God of all, not a religion. Man-made religion is not the right way to go. I respect everybody's religions and beliefs. Question: what importance do you place on your religious/spiritual life after your experience? Answer: greatly important to me. Question, what is your religion now? Answer, Christian Catholic, non-church attending Catholic. Question, did your experience include features consistent with your earthly beliefs? Answer, not entirely. I went someplace, somewhere, a place that is not here nor there. But the moment of dead, everything becomes clear, very clear. Everyone has to need to know. As humans, we are that way, is our nature. Question, did you have a change in your values and beliefs because of your experience? Answer, yes. I know now the workings and the mechanics of living, why things are the way they are. Question, during your experience, did you gain special knowledge or information about your purpose? Answer, yes. Humans approached religion in a very different way of what religion should be. To live is to die, and to die is to awaken. Question, did you gain information about how to live our lives? Answer, yes. We have so many things happening around us every time, but our brain is wired in such a way we don't see it. From the moment of birth to the moment of death, it is all happening at once. Humans carry a blindfold, sort of speaking. We are limited on everything we see and do. Question, during your experience, did you gain information about life's difficulties, challenges, and hardships? Answer, yes. Life has purpose and is to learn for the next life. It is to polish or mature your soul. Question, during your experience, did you gain information about love? Answer, yes. Love is the very basic feeling that is known to be in every universe. Question, what life changes occurred in your life after the experience? Answer, large changes. Take, for example, a person that can't see, who is totally blind. That person have an idea of what things looks like in reality. They have a very good idea of the world around them. Take that person and give them vision, sight, life-changing experience for the best. Question, how accurately do you remember the experience in comparison with other life events that occurred around the same time? Answer, I remember it more accurately. My experience was life-changing, making it the most important experience that any human can have the honor of having. No psychic or extraordinary gifts, special gifts after the experience. Question, are there one or several parts of the experience that are especially meaningful to you? Answer, knowing that I was chosen to save a life and to guide my grandson through life is very meaningful. Question, have you ever shared this experience with others? Answer, no. Question, what do you believe about the reality of did you believe about the reality of your experience shortly after it happened? Answer, experience was definitely real. I now believe my experience gave me new hope. I will use it to guide my grandson to become a great man. And what do you believe about the reality of your experience now? Answer, it was real. I live up to the plans the Supreme Being has for me. I open my mind for new life. I will pass it on, and I will go on for a long time as I was instructed to do. Question, at any time, has anything ever reproduced any part of the experience? Answer, yes. Remember, I was chosen to guide my grandson and plant the seed that will go on forever. Question, is there anything else you would like to add about your experience? Answer, I still get visitation from angels every day. I captured one of those visitations on film, and I was punished for doing so. Question, are there any other questions that we could ask to help you communicate your experience? Answer, if you can ask a question or questions about, did you experience any changes in personality? Do you believe you have a soul? Did you experience changes deep inside your soul? Where do you believe the soul is? Questions regarding the soul are the key to get information or gather more information about what really happens when we die. Many people talk about a tunnel and a bright light. dead family members, dead family taking them by the hand, but they don't get to the heart of the matter. Most of those stories are questionable by my own standards. End quote. End questions. Thank you for sharing, Juan. And you do raise some interesting questions that are very thoughtful and important. And everybody out there, I appreciate you listening, and I hope you have a great day.